Hey everybody, it's Chuck Marohn with Strong Towns. With the Federal Reserve recently lowering interest rates, there was an idea that mortgage rates would also come down, and that would make buying a house a little bit easier for people. That has not happened, or it's not been sustained. Mortgage rates are back to where they were before the Fed lowered interest rates. What is going on? What is happening? Now, interest rates are, in a sense, the supply and demand of money, right? An interest rate reflects where there's a huge demand for money and where there's a huge supply of money. So if you take, for example, let's say my city, Brainerd, has a lot of debt they want to go do. They've got a project they want to do. They want to take on a lot of debt. If there are a lot of investors that look at Brainerd and say, we really want to invest in that debt. I'll bid against you and you'll bid against me. There's so much investors for so little debt. What will happen is the interest rate will go down. So a lot of people who are, in a sense, bidding on the same debt to lend to the city of Brainerd, that will make the interest rates come down because that's how they're going to compete. I'll give you a lower interest rate. Nope, I'll give you a lower interest rate. Conversely, if the city of Brainerd wants to do a project and has to borrow a couple $1 million, $10 million, $50 million, whatever it is, and nobody wants to lend the city that money, then interest rates start to go up. And they go up and up and up until they reach a point where people say, all right, I'm willing to lend you at that price. Money has to flow in and meet that demand. So interest rates reflect the supply and demand of money at a certain investment, right? So when the Fed signaled that they were going to lower interest rates, what happened was that 30-year mortgage rate started to drop. It was at, I don't know, like almost 8%, dropped all the way down to around 6%. The Federal Reserve lowered interest rates, and you saw mortgage rates be low. They have in the last 30 days now crept up, and they are now back up to that little over 7%. What this is telling us is that there is less money being invested in mortgages than we assume that there would be. Because if there was a lot more money, if there was a lot of money being poured into mortgages, being poured into people who wanted to invest in mortgages, wanted to buy mortgage-backed securities, if there was a huge demand for mortgages, what you would see is that interest rate for mortgages would be going down. It's actually going in the opposite direction. Is this because people don't like mortgages? I don't really think so. There's a lot of complex reasons why this effect is going on. And in fact, economists are debating why, right? There's a lot of different theories. The thing about, let's just say this clear, the thing about stuff like this is that the system is so complex. There might be multiple vectors of causation that are impacting each other and influence each other. First of all, the stock market's doing really well. There are a lot of people who are invested in the stock market who are trying to, in a sense, play catch up for periods of time when they didn't invest enough. They're saving for retirement or what have you. Maybe they have a little overweighted stocks now. That leaves less money available for other investments. I don't think that that's a huge cause, but I've heard that floated as a cause. Future inflation expectations is another one. I may find it more advantageous to put my money into a short-term product. In fact, we're seeing the yield curve, it's called, kind of go back, start to adjust to normal. It's been abnormal the last couple of years with inflation expectations. The idea would be, we're worried about inflation long-term. I will do a 90-day note. I'll do a 1-year note or a 2-year note or maybe a 5-year note. I'm not going to lock myself up into something that would be a 30-year note. Inflation seems like it's going to run hot. I'm not going to do that. Another idea is that with our federal budget deficits being as large as they are, a couple $1 trillion a year now, and in perpetuity, like it's not going back down with any strategy that's on the table, this is crowding out other investment. So, the Treasury, U.S. deficit, those are seen as the safest bet possible. If the Treasury has to sell $2 trillion of debt every year, plus roll over all of the debt that is retiring, which comes in at many, many trillions of dollars. What you have is you have the government competing with the market for debt. The government has to win, so they will raise interest rates as much as they have to secure that debt, and that leaves everything else left over for things like mortgages. That might be having an effect. I've seen the same argument made with corporate debt. Corporate debt is at all-time highs. Again, crowding out of mortgages. Quantitative tightening, where the Federal Reserve has, for the last, I think, 6 months, it's been a while now, has been, while they've talked about lowering interest rates, has actually been allowing their own portfolio to tighten up a little bit as the bonds that they have purchased, as the securities that they have purchased expire. They have not been renewing them. And so in a sense, that is taking money out of the economy. I want to give one other thing though. And this is actually one that, I don't know, I feel like there is a trap here that we are stuck in when it comes to mortgages. Low interest rates for a really long time has actually made the market for housing kind of stuck. People are sitting on, 3%, 4% mortgages from 5-6 years ago. They don't want to move because they don't want to assume a 7% plus mortgage. They are willing to wait until rates equilibrate, or they build a lot more equity in their home, or until something forces them out of their home. And so without a robust market, there's actually less demand today for mortgages. And with less demand for that money, there's less money flowing in. And we see mortgage rates start to inch up. In a sense, the market is drying up. And what you are seeing is that instead of a river of capital, you've got a trickle of capital, and that is just functioning at a little bit higher prices. Either way, don't expect the Federal Reserve to save the housing market. Don't expect the Federal Reserve to make housing more affordable, as if that was even what they're trying to do.